Bidding wars again during a pandemic? I know it's freezing outside, but the real estate market is just red hot. If you're in the real estate market, you'll probably notice that the market is on fire. Stick around to the end of this video if you want to hear my thoughts as to why this is happening.
Add it up.
Can you believe that it's been 311 days since Ontario went into a state of emergency? I know that everyone is sick of this pandemic. It'd be nice to be able to travel and go back to normal, to see friends and go out and eat. Once this thing is all behind us, I know people are gonna go nuts and people are gonna go on revenge shopping sprees. It'd be like the roaring 21s or 22s. Anyway, I hope our economy goes back to normal and I hope everyone is feeling safe, healthy, and sane. Even though we're still in a current state of lockdown, the housing market really doesn't make all that much sense out there. Toronto has seen rental rates drop by 20%, and Statistics Canada just announced that there are 50,000 people leaving our city year over year from July. That was 6 months ago, so I'm sure that number is even higher by now. The Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation just recently announced a report saying that housing prices will drop by up to 50%, and we could hit unemployment rates of 25% if the government of Canada didn't offer relief to Canadians. And just want to be clear, this is a report from CMHC analyzing worst case scenarios. It doesn't mean that this is a forecast or prediction, but the media is spinning it into a headline. You really have to read carefully. Then yesterday, there's another headline from the CMHC also, seeing that we could see a 14% plunge. What do you believe? It's really hard to believe the headlines, but what I do believe is the numbers. The numbers don't lie. So I manually looked up the numbers in the major markets in the GTA, and I found that the first 3 weeks of the new year, the market has turned upside down suddenly, and it's become a seller's market again. What the heck? Even during a pandemic, when non-essential businesses are shut down, I even noticed that some of our listings have been sitting on the market for a while, but they're getting a bit of action. And if you're in the suburbs with a freehold home, forget about it. It's on fire. We were in bidding wars all the time. So the overall downtown Toronto condo market has seen 580 new listings hit the market in the first 3 weeks from January 1st to 22nd when I pulled the numbers. All I did was really look at the actual MLS, so there's no fancy data manipulation here. These are just real live numbers. 378 sales divided by 580 new listings gives you a sales to new listings ratio of 65%. If you remember from my previous videos, this ratio is by far my favorite metric to test the temperature of any real estate market, because the basis of any market can be simplified down to the supply and demand curve and what that looks like. So in a completely balanced market, you'll see 50% of sales as compared to the number of new listings out there. The reason why I say 50% is a completely balanced market is because if we assume that we'll have the same pace of sales in the next period, and we have to assume that because we can't tell the future, we don't know how many sales are going to be next month, but then we'll need the other 50% of the new listings to fulfill that upcoming demand for the next period. Does that make sense? Okay, well, let's give it a bit of flexibility and say that anything under 40% is the buyer's market, meaning that there's too much inventory, not enough sales happening, and anything over 60% is a seller's market, meaning that there's not enough new listings or too many sales happening during this period. Interestingly enough, despite having a 20% drop in average rental rates and an all-time high vacancy rate of 5.7% in Toronto, we're seeing a lot of buyer demand. New listings are a bit higher than they were last year, but there've been a lot more sales happening too. In the gray line, you'll see that the volume of new sales for the first 3 weeks of 2021, and in the bar graph, you'll see the percentage of sales that happened. It was interesting to see the sales to new listings ratios of condos under 600,000 at 85%, which is a seller's market. I guess with a combination of record low interest rates and booming suburban freehold homes, people are taking the increased equity out of their homes and buying investment properties downtown. This is something that I've been saying that people should be doing since the second month of the pandemic. If you haven't done it, you should be, as home values in the suburbs have been increasing since then. If we look at the freehold property types in the entire real estate board, Ontario is seeing an extreme seller's market. I should note that these numbers reflect what were listed in the Toronto Real Estate Board, not just boards like Barrie or Oakville or Milton, Hamilton, Burlington, etc. I know it's a common practice to list on both boards, so this may or may not capture those listings, but it's a good sample size to be able to tell you some good meaningful numbers. So Ontario has a sales to new listings ratio of 109%, and the overall GTA is at 112%. Interestingly enough, Peel Region is seeing the largest explosion of sales at 151 sales to new listings. Peel Region is Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon, with Brampton bringing up the numbers at almost 200% of new listings sold. I don't know if you know what that means, but that's crazy because it means that for every one new listing that comes in the market, 2 of them sell. It's a similar story in Markham, Newmarket, Ajax, Pickering, Whitby, Toronto, and everywhere else. Pretty much all freehold inventory in the province is selling at alarming rates, with the exception of the top-end market. That usually takes time, naturally, because of the higher price point. So if you're from another part of this content, you're probably seeing this happen in your local real estate market too. There just simply isn't enough inventory to meet the demand. In my last video, we talked about why we're seeing asset inflation happen despite a low core inflation rate, but that's quite simply because the Bank of Canada doesn't calculate asset inflation in their CPI, and they're manipulating the currency supply so we can inflate our way out of the deficits that the government needs to run to keep us all afloat and to pay for all the stimulus spending. I'll save the details for another video. You've already spent enough time watching this video and I appreciate your attention, but here's a little overview of what I'm going to be getting into. Yes, we are in a giant Ponzi scheme with all the money printing that's happening. Yes, it's creating a bigger and bigger wealth gap where borrowers are being rewarded and savers just can't save enough. They're being penalized through asset inflation. What I mean is that it's not easy coming up with the large down payments required to participate in the housing market, and in the housing market we can pretty much expect to see double-digit growth every single year. Yes, you can put your money in the stock markets to achieve the same thing, but you have to constantly invest in unicorns and find them, or play on margins to get the leverage that real estate brings you. Will there be a great reset? I mean, I highly doubt your debts will be forgiven, but I do think that there's going to be some sort of universal basic income or some sort of direct injection to the people that need it the most. I mean, there should be. We see it in social assistance programs now, but the overhead to manage those programs are too strict and the criteria just sometimes doesn't make sense, and I don't think the money's flowing down to the people that need it the most. Will we see more taxes? Most definitely. Will everything be more expensive? You bet it will. So what's the end game? Well, tune into the next video to see what my thoughts are. Until then, stay safe and stay sane. Peace out.